But look at this thing. It's freaking beautiful, at least to me. After over a year with nothing, we are finally starting to see some new motherboards for the AM5 platform. And equally important, we're starting to get a few more white options out there. The competition is finally starting to heat up, which is probably why Gigabyte named this one Ice. That's right, today we're going to be looking at the Gigabyte AORUS B650 Elite AX Ice. But first,
Buy easy. Transform your tablet into a fully functional workstation with the 8-in-1 USB hub and tablet stand, brought to you by Buy Easy. Sure, I mean, you could buy an Apple Magic keyboard, but that thing costs $300 and the keyboard kinda sucks. Wouldn't you rather use something better? For a fraction of the cost, you can get a tablet stand with 2 USB 3.0 ports, audio out, HDMI out for when your tiny tablet screen just won't cut it, as well as 100-watt power delivery and more. And it couldn't be simpler to use. Just connect to your tablet's USB-C port, connect your accessories, and you're done. With height and tilt adjustment, as well as a full 360-degree rotation, you can share your tablet screen with anybody that happens to be sitting near you. Compatible with both Apple and Android, the Buy Easy 8-in-1 tablet stand is the perfect desktop accessory to round out your workstation. Check out the links in the description for more info on how to get one yourself.
the options for a white B650 motherboard has been pretty limited since launch, with ASUS, MSI, and Asrock having a couple of models out, basically propping up the whole market. Now, Gigabyte is stepping up with their AORUS B650 Elite AX Ice. You remember when names used to be like short and less than a sentence? Looking at you, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Ti Super. Okay, look, admittedly, the color of your motherboard doesn't really matter. I mean, your CPU, RAM, GPU, none of that knows what this thing looks like. At the end of the day, all that matters is performance. But look at this thing. It's freaking beautiful, at least to me. But none of that matters if this board can't deliver. So let's talk about the features and specs of it. First, let's take a look at power delivery. The board has a 12.2-in-2 VRM rated at 60 amps per stage. And while that is nowhere near the top of the product stack when it comes to power delivery, it's still more than sufficient for pretty much everyone's needs. We didn't have any problems during testing with a 7950X, and that was using Eco Mode, Stock, and PB&J. You guys want a PB&J? So during testing, we didn't have any issues running a 7950X in this thing with PBO enabled. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is the board I would go with for a 7950X, but over-designing the VRM has been a trend we've seen lately with a lot of motherboard manufacturers, and it really comes more down to marketing than actual performance. Don't get me wrong, your CPU loves clean, stable power, and it's the VRM's job to deliver that consistently, but I don't think there's really any need for a 110 amp, 22 stage VRM like some other boards are packing. And it's actually nice to see Gigabyte not lean into that trend and dial it back a little bit to give you a good balance of functionality and cost. So it probably comes down to Gigabyte being a little more realistic about the market segment that this board targets. Most people shopping this mid-tier B650 market probably going to pair this with something like a 7700X or a 7800X3D, which is a crazy efficient chip and doesn't need anything insane to power it. Would I like to see something a little more robust for future proofing, especially since AMD has acknowledged they're going to keep this socket around all the way until 2026. And if the trends with AM4, which is still getting new CPUs, is any indication, it could be a lot longer than that. But for today, I think this is going to be solid enough, at least for this generation of CPUs, and probably the next. Looking at RAM, this board has support for up to 192 gigabytes. That is 4 48 gig sticks for you math challenge folks, and support speeds up to 8,000 mega transfers. Now, that's what the spec sheet says. Our kit we use for our test bench tops out at 6,000. It's a 32 gig kit from G.Skill. So we couldn't verify that statement. What I can tell you is I can almost guarantee you're not getting 8,000 or anywhere close to it with all 4 slots populated. In fact, you'd be lucky to get it with slots 2 and 4 populated. What I can tell you is we had no issues running it with Expo enabled at 6,000 MTS, going through all of our benchmarking and everything. So with that being the sweet spot for RAM, even though AMD CPUs now support faster than that, I would still probably look to top out at a 6,000 kit if you're going for stability. Onto the storage side of things, we have 3 M.2 slots with your primary slot running at PCIe 5, your 2 secondary ones at PCIe Gen 4. There are boards with significantly more M.2 slots than this, but realistically, you're not going to be running more than 3 sticks anyway. And if you are, you're probably not shopping in this budget B650 tier to begin with. The heat sinks not only look great, but they have a solid feel and should dissipate heat effectively, especially if you're paying attention to the airflow in your case. Along with the 3 M.2 slots, the board also has... we almost lost the board there. Along with the 3 M.2 slots, the board also has support for up to 4 SATA connections. Finally, let's take a look at the connectivity on the board. And I do think this is an area where the budget pricing is starting to show itself a little bit. For the rear I/O, we have HDMI and DisplayPort, support for BIOS flashback, and plenty of USB-A with 4 2.0 ports, 5 3.2 Gen 1, and 2 3.2 Gen 2 ports. Where I find the I/O lacking is in USB Type-C, with only 1 rear Type-C connector. The board does have a front panel header for a 20 gig port, but I have seen more and more peripherals starting to launch with Type-C, which is amazing. Like, it was time for micro to go away, and it's really time for us to start getting away from USB-A. We're 30 years old at this point. I don't even remember when it came out. With only 1 Type-C connector on the rear, it's probably not going to be long before you're hitting Amazon looking for a nice USB hub. The board also has 3 PCIe expansion slots, with the primary slot rated at PCIe 4x16, and the 2 secondary slots are only PCIe 3x1, which is going to limit their functionality some. So that's going to be something you want to pay attention to if that matters for your use case. As far as the primary slot only being rated for Gen 4, I don't think that's really an issue. Even the 4090 is still just a Gen 4 PCIe card. Will next generation move to Gen 5? More than likely. But again, if you're shopping this budget market segment, is a $2,000 GPU really what you're going to be paired with? As far as internal headers go, you have more than enough USB 2, RGB, fan, and pump headers for basically any type of system configuration you want to build out. As far as quality of life features, you have easy latch on both the primary PCIe slot as well as your M.2s, and the board again supports BIOS flashback, which really makes updating easy, especially if you're getting this board after a new generation of CPUs launch, or there's been a lot of BIOS updates since this board initially comes out and you're building with it. It's always good to update the BIOS before you actually build out, if you can. So overall, would I recommend this board? Yeah, after playing with it for a couple of days and going over everything, this is probably my favorite of the mid-tier boards out there for AM5. It is definitely my favorite when it comes to white, which you only have a couple of options in the B650 range, and then you have a couple of X670E boards, but now you're jumping up a whole price bracket. All in all, I would say if you're doing a white build and around that $200 price range is your budget, this is probably the board I'm going for.